Hello and welcome to another episode of Soul Nectar Show, that show where we talk about all things essence, where we gather around the campfire like our ancestors before us and we share stories of connection to that which is bigger than us, the thing we keep trying to understand how it works and what it's all about. And we each get a little tiny piece of the puzzle. So it's nice to come here and share that for the benefit of all and see, maybe it helps somebody else with a piece in their puzzle. So I love to have these conversations. I'm your host, Carrie Hummingbird, and I love this kind of conversation. It's probably my favorite thing to do is sit around all day long talking about what I think we're doing here. Trying to figure it out, sort of like the spoiler alert, like I always like to figure out the movie before the ending. I don't know about you guys, but I love that. And it's nice when I can't, I always really enjoy it when there's a big surprise. And I'm hoping we get some of those big surprises today. I have a feeling we're going to. So I'm really excited to introduce you all to my new friend, Dom Brightmon. Welcome, Dom. Welcome to the show.
Sweet. Thanks for having me, Carrie. It's great connecting with you.
Yeah, I'm really excited about this conversation. We're going to go some interesting places. So, Dom is an award winning speaker and certified member of the John Maxwell team. He is the author of the book Going North, Tips and Techniques to Advance Yourself. And he runs a top rated self help podcast with the same name that interviews authors from all around the world. In addition to Going North, the book, he published a follow up bestseller, Stay the Course: The Elite Performer's 7 Keys to Sustainable Success. And his mantra is advance others to advance yourself. So, one of the things you're going to be finding out about Dom is that besides all those other wonderful things, he also works in the library. Like, he helps people connect with like information that they need for their for their journeys. So he's doing that in every way he's serving, right? So this is really fun. So Dom, I already warned you when we start the show, I like to, our listeners on this show, we like to explore all things essence, all things spirituality. And so we'd like to hear about your own journey of awakening. Like, what does that look for you, and how did it come about? And we'll just kind of launch into the conversation that way.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Essence and Awakening. So it's like Essence Magazine. When you wake up in the morning, it's like 7:05 after the snooze button is pressed the first time. It's 7 o'clock. No, but seriously, I was messing with you. No, but the awakening, though, I have to say the biggest, well, I guess first awakening in a way would probably be back in 2004. That was April 4th, 2004, when I first really got into actual walk with Christ because as some long bios put out into the world, I met some of church boys raised in the church. When I was 2 years old, I was Christian, all that good stuff. Served in all these usher ministries and church ministries. And 2004 is when it really happened because I got baptized back around 2003. But a year later, after actually take a little bit more seriously, even though I was still in my teen years, actually reading more into the Bible itself and actually asking the Lord to come to my heart at the time. That was really the first awakening into the time when I really tried to get more serious with it. And that was actually after I first went to a Christian school where it was learning Bible scriptures and doing memory scriptures and all the other good stuff. And then that just led to this spiritual walk and just as well in turn just growing up in a way, not just in this world, but also I guess in the spiritual world in a way with the relationship with Jesus Christ. Since yeah, I'm a Christian, that's my faith, and I'd say I'm sticking to it for the most part. Yeah, sticking to it definitely with honey and super glue. Definitely sticking to it. It's been one heck of a wonderful journey so far because it's really helped me to actually get nice foundational core values, like of course the golden rule, treating others the way you want to be treated, and of course just trying to be a peacemaker as opposed to those who bring chaos, and just also following the teachings that Jesus himself teach. Heck, he even storytelling. Christ himself is a storyteller. I tell stories. Heck, even some of them are not so spiritual, like the one of the time when I was a tree, but more on that later, probably.
Yeah, the time when you were a tree. I
Yeah.
like being tree. It's good. It's grounded.
Oh yeah, more ways than one. But yeah, different sort of tree. And then a few years later down the road, I was on my Christian walk and my faith was being tested. In 2012, my father, he was going through his early phase of Alzheimer's, and He got lost when that was around late July, early August. Heck, even close to the time of this recording, funny enough. 6 years ago, actually, wow, 7 years ago. Wow, it's amazing. And then the month later, my 21st birthday, crashing my car in an accident out of nowhere because the darn brake jammed and the car was making a turn. And not only that, just all of that piling up on me and realizing like, hey, something needs to change because then I get called into the boss's office at the time for a meeting and she was like, hey, everything okay? Like you're screwing up here, here, and here. And it's like, oh, okay. Yeah. And that was like the first realization that, hey, no matter how good you may think you are, you have to actually be aware of what's going on and being aware that what happens in your personal life is going to show up in your professional life in ways you won't even imagine. You may think you're putting on a good facade, but the facade is for you. It's not for everyone else. They can see right through it. And we're both wearing glasses, so you definitely know we both can see right through stuff, a
Oh
lot
yeah.
of things.
Only having walked that path, once you've walked it for yourself and you've seen through your own stuff, it's easier to see through other people's stuff. That's for sure.
Hmm. That's right. That's right. Heck, maybe if you got a fifth eye, I could definitely see all the extra stuff too, right?
I mean, like right, the third one,
Yeah, I call it the
fifth,
fifth one. It throws people off.
fifth dimensional seeing. It's kind of accurate though.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, yeah, we got these glasses. It's like they used to tease folks for glass calling four eyes. Like, you know what? Shoot, I'm rocking with it. Like, nerds gave you iPhones, so like, hey, you're gonna ask for employment for later, so let's rock this. Fifth
Yeah.
eye, baby.
So, so your car crashing and all the things happening to you in the training that I have and the way that we go about things, we call that an assemblage point adjustment.
Hmm.
The assemblage point being like sort of like the glasses through which you're seeing the world and you can only see it like this, as you're turning. And the assemblage point kind of jiggles it so you see from just a different angle. So you see a different reality in front of you. Is that kind of what happened to you after all that stuff happened?
You're definitely right, and that's a very technical way of saying it. And I'm gonna write it down when I see the replay of this, because that led me to this journey of doing a whole one word for the year. So it was New Year's Eve that year, 2012, where I was like, you know what? Something's got to change here. So I decided to make 2013 my year of rebirth. And that was when I became a voracious reader because even though I worked in the library part time and I liked books, I really lost my love for it from being in high school and just taking college courses. And then the first year I made a choice, you know what, I'm going to try to read at least 50 plus books a year. First year got through 70 and applied that to my work life, became more of an extrovert in a way because usually now it's usually in reverse now. It's usually my fun size around close friends and family. And then usually it's all extra professional, somewhat stone faced in front of everybody else. But that's usually in reverse. Now I actually be able to get out of my shell and get out the turtle shell and actually get out there. So basically going through that journey of rebirth and trying to have a one different word theme around the year. I call it the New Year's mantra. Every new year that approaches, at least on the Gregorian calendar of January, then just have a one word to fit your whole year. And that was really where it all began on this professional and personal self-development journey, as well to add on everything else, because it's like, yeah, I had some biblical principles and foundations, but you know what? There's more out there. Let me do a little more digging and add on to what I already have. So just reading books from different like areas like sales, psychology, heck, even a couple books on Buddhism and Taoism that touched on certain things. And the fact of the matter is, a lot of the stuff, no matter what religion, is usually most of them want you to treat your fellow man, your fellow human, with kindness, and that's just the main thing. And it's just really taking that desire to help others and actually strengthen it in a way, putting a six pack on it, or if you're really fit out of boot camp and U.S. service, put an eight pack on just being kind to other people and getting the most out of life that you can. So yeah, that's definitely a nice way of putting it. And that really did set me on a different path for actually heading north in a way.
Yeah, that's beautiful. What I found is that it's usually really simple. Like over and over again, as I've been on my journey and opening and being a healer, and which you got to kind of be a channel. Like you've got to just channel the healing. You can't get in the way of it. If you get in the way of it, it's not a very good healing. So to get out of the way. As I've learned that and I download these insights for people with the healing, it's always so simple that we overlook it. It's so simple. It's like so simple. Why is it hard to remember? That's the main thing. Like, why is it so hard to remember? Be kind and treat others as you would want to be treated. That's so simple, and yet it's so hard for a lot of people to do that.
Yeah, yeah. Some call it adulting, some call it a bad past, some call it having a bad day because they may have lost a loved one or they lost a job or they just had some form of loss and they don't know how to react or respond to it and they just go to just regular plain anger. It's kind of like customer service on like 5 p.m. in the evening. It's like folks have just got done getting out of work, fighting traffic, and it's like, all right, you're the first person I see. I'm going to give you everything I got. It's going to be evil. I'm going to destroy it. And sometimes you just have to learn to just deal with that and kind of like one of those Aikido martial artists or judo, just flowing with it like water and just deflecting it in a way and just realizing that everybody's going through an important battle and they're not using their head, they're just using their emotions, which are very powerful, but not in a way of channeling those emotions into their mind and thinking, hey, there's a better way to do this. There must be a different way to cope with this stress or this pain that I'm dealing with. So that's probably one of the causes for people to just let emotions take over.
Yeah, we've got a pretty intense world going on right now. And what I find interesting is that you're doing this work and you're still really young. Like you're in your 20s, aren't you? How old are you? Can we ask
Yeah,
that?
27. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're like a millennial because we talked about this. Millennials are really interesting for apparently older because I'm older. I know I don't look at people.
I know you're 5 years old. You just turned five recently.
But I'm 50. 50. So for people like me, kind of like sometimes, and not like me because I'm down with it, but like other people my age, it can be really hard to understand millennials because millennials seem like they just do whatever they want and they don't really care about what other people want, and they're like kind of fickle, and then they'll do it for a while and then they'll drop out, and then maybe they don't really feel like it, so then they stop. So what's up with millennials? I mean, what are you seeing when you're dealing with people from your generation?
Yeah, to be honest, I mean, a lot of it's just trying to find ourselves, and at least from me, speaking from my perspective, I'm right now I'm mostly focused on creating a life for myself that I can be proud of, and something I can be grateful for, and making my family proud of me. But also, it's the fact that some folks they may have been not prepared for life. I mean, like for high school, the thing I used to hear all the time is the fact that they weren't prepared for college in a way for those that went to college. It's like you go to high school, a D is considered passing, as opposed to me when I went to a Christian private school for schooling, they taught us how to test take and actually pass tests and study tests. And I got my butt handed to me multiple times. I got out with a C average in high school, and I had to work for that C. I wasn't given that C. But I think it's the fact that some I guess it's just the fact that in today's society there's so much out there and there's so much stimulation from all sorts of directions. It's almost like, well, I guess of course we're fighting against goldfish who has the better attention spans, but still it's probably not only that but also the fact that even though there's a lot of pain out there in the world, it's probably just the fact that maybe it's that a lot of folks may have not had that message of truth in a way. It's like some may have had those participation trophies. They may have been passed along through high school, going to college, not being able to read or not being able to do math problems, having to take remedial courses to get into class, and just things like that. I'm not saying that's the reason. That's just one of the reasons I think that may be the cause of it. It may be just a lack of actual mentorship, a lack of being challenged as well, because one way to try to get the most out of people is by seeing them as the precious metal that they are, the platinum, the gold, and telling them that, hey, you can do this, you can do more. I mean, hey, it's like one lady I met at a conference. She said, hey, you you got all these books you recommend to other people. Why don't you write your own? And it's like just they just never had that, or at least folks never had that person to challenge them to actually do something more and actually do something better. And heck, even when you're in a group of folks in your circle of influence, funny enough, there's that kid at the library a couple years ago. He was failing his classes and he was hanging out with a bunch of losers. And me and the security guard at the time, we had a conversation with him like, hey, man, if you hang out with a bunch of losers, you're going to be the other loser with the group of them. I mean, it's the 5 people you hang out with the most, or you're going to be most like them. If you hang out with 5 losers, you're loser number 6. And he actually took that to heart, and he actually got out of that group of folks, and he became a spoken word artist, and even became a finalist at a spoken word poetry contest because he changed his circle of friends. So it's kind of like that old, a lot of it's just old principles of making sure you hang around the right people who are actually on the move, going north for a cheap plug. And also, not only that, but also just being able to try to find the right mentors and having the right, I guess, right knowledge from the right people, and just being prepared for the real world, because the world's going to hit you. It's going to hit you hard. It's kind of like that bad Mike Tyson quote that's, well, since this is not a PG show, I'll just go ahead and say it. It was on some blog site or whatever. It's like, yeah, you don't know what it feels like to be me until you wake up every morning and get punched in the nuts. So they haven't had
Oh,
that.
yeah. Well, on that topic though, not
Yeah.
exactly on that topic, but on that topic, challenges. I take that to be challenges. And because here's the thing, it's like when you want to make a diamond, you don't just get handed the diamond. Like
Yeah.
it takes heat, intensity, and pressure to make a diamond. And
Yeah.
we kind of got this, and I'm guilty of this as well. With our kids, we kind of got into this place where we want to like protect them so much. Like we want to protect them. We don't want anybody to have to compete. We want everyone to get the trophy at the end of the season. Like everybody gets a trophy. We kind of, my generation of parents created this situation where we wanted everybody to feel special. And in the process of that, though, guilty as charged, a lot of us have done a lot for our kids way beyond what we should have been doing for them. Like they needed to kind of claim a lot of that for themselves to get strong and get inner resilience. They had to claim those things for themselves without, like, instead of us doing it for them. But I'm pretty sure like my generation has had a lot of single moms, and that is like really intense, because we have this rift with the fathers. There's all this like, the way that the patriarchy has been really like unpleasant. It's been outright, disrespectful in many ways. So we have these competing forces in our society, and the women have kind of like been like, I'm out of here, I don't want that anymore. But then we over coddle, and I feel like our generation now is a demonstration of that over coddling. It's like, they're sort of like they've gotten handed a lot of things, and now they're sort of like, well, what do I do with it? Like, I don't even know where to go or what to do, or what's my guiding, what's my north? Like, where's my compass? Where's my inner compass? And how do I find myself in the middle of all this noise?
Yeah, you're definitely right about that. And heck, even with the whole single parenthood thing, I was listening to one preacher. He was a single dad for a while. He mentioned how some single parents, they feel schizophrenic because it's like one day it's like, all right, you got to discipline the kid. Next thing you know, they come out there and hug you. He's like, oh, what? I'm supposed to be disciplinarian here. It's you got multiple personalities. Like it's a hard balance. So
It is.
that's a hard balance. And I can imagine for that. I mean, being able to still smile through single parenthood, and it just keeps happening nowadays, which is kind of sad. But yeah.
Yeah. So I think that your generation is a product of a lot of that. And also like the boom of the internet, the boom of instant access to entertainment 24/7. Talk a little bit about that with, how does that relate? Because I think for you, I'm seeing that you have like this strong inner faith, this inner compass. You just talk about going north. When I think about that, going north, I instantly see the compass. I see the directions. I see the south, the west, the north, and the east. And when I see the north, I see the ancestors. I think about our ancestors that are guiding us home. That are really helping us to have integrity and resilience and make good decisions. That's what I see when I see going north. And I feel like you've got this, you grew up with this faith, or you had this faith, even if you didn't understand it at first, it was sinking in to your brain. And at one point it clicked. So talk a little bit about like that journey for yourself with the sort of so much chaos all around you.
Yep, that to see the reason for that is I was blessed to have two parents, my mother and my father. My father, especially, he was a praying man, and there was this gospel song, "Devil Can't Harm a Praying Man." He still had his moments of danger, being a World War II veteran who had two combat jumps and even served again during the Korean War, but he was a praying man, and he always prayed for me every morning, and sometimes I hear him under his breath, like, "Lord, please protect my child." And that just rubbed off on me. And my mother, she was very faithful. She was probably the most prayed up woman in the, well, yeah, she really was the most prayed woman. I feel like she was the only lady in the house, but yeah. And just those role models of faith and just having that in my life and seeing it. And of course, my dad, he would always take me to Sunday school every Sunday when I was growing up until around high school when I was getting Bible classes every darn day. So I was like, we'll let you sleep in, buddy. We'll let you sleep in since you get Bible classes. But just having that strong foundation really was the reason for all of it. And the fact that my father himself, he was heavy into the church. He was on the choir. He was a trustee, going to Bible classes. Had probably about three thick Bible commentaries. Had like 5 different Bibles, some of them color coded. My mom herself, she loved teaching, and she got more into the faith as she got through retirement, more into the Bible study as opposed to just the Sunday worship service and everything like that. So it was mostly their example, because what you see is what you eventually be, and what you listen to is what you'll become. So what's around you the most, that's what you're eventually going to absorb, especially in the young days of your life, especially in the younger years, because that's when sponge mode is at its highest level. That's when the metaphorical sponge is smoking the whole bowl or the whole bag of the metaphorical weed of knowledge here. Because
Metaphorical bag of weed.
yeah.
We're all over the place with this conversation, people.
Yep, I didn't even make a cucumber reference yet. Oh well.
Yeah. Guys will have to watch my interview with him to find out what that means. I knew it was going to come up. I was just waiting for it.
Like, hey, it's the 10 minutes. Don't you? Oh, darn it, he ruined
Dang
it.
it. I think on this show, though, I'm going to have to give you one peace pipe for that one.
Oh, sweet. All
We're
right.
going to switch it to the peace pipe. So you
Oh,
get
there you
one
go.
peace pipe for that one. You earned one.
Yay,
Got
sweet.
a peace pipe.
Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall find peace, right?
That's what we're here doing, right, Dom? We're making peace.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So, like, let's be honest, Dom. Let's just peel away the layers.
Onion.
So we are making peace, you and me right here, on behalf of a lot
Yeah.
of people, right? On behalf of a lot of people, we're going to make peace.
Oh,
So
yeah.
let's make peace between people of different faiths.
Okay.
Yeah. You want to have that conversation?
Sure.
So
Why
you've
not?
done a lot of inquiry into the Bible, and you've done a lot of inquiry into your own personal interpretation, and you've looked at a lot of other world religions. Like you work in a library. Like
Yeah.
you've done your research, This is great. So for people who maybe practice a different faith, sometimes not received very well by people of a Christian faith, even though like all the messages that you're sharing today are like, pretty open. Like, it's because I was on your show, and I practice earth-based spirituality. I connect in with the earth, and I open to God direct,
Yeah.
I go direct. And you know that. And we had conversation on your show, and now here you're on mine. So how can we create peace? Like, how can we make another peace pipe happen? For anybody who's might be Christian, right? And would listen to you more than would listen to me. How can we create peace today, Dom?
a way for that to happen is to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. And that starts with not only getting more in tune with your own faith and making sure you read the Bible cover to cover, because that's one thing you have to do is if you're going to practice a faith, make sure you know as much about it as you possibly can, so that way you can be a better, more well-rounded, knowledgeable person of it. And not only that, but being also open to the fact that we're all still human at the end of the day. We're ghosts in a shell. These are just our shells containing our souls and our spirits. And having that compassion for one another, because even Christ himself, he was compassionate with others, and he was trying to reach the lost sheep of the house of Israel, and they were scattered about in different places, whether it was with the folks who were drunk or those who were prostitutes. So it's just the fact of just keeping compassion in mind and also getting more comfortable with your faith, so that way you'll be more comfortable discussing it with others. Funny enough, actually, I had a Muslim colleague. She actually was a practicing Muslim, and she was heavy into the Islam thing. She used to come in with the hijab every day to work, and then one day out of nowhere, she just came in with regular clothes, jeans, hair all long and whatnot. And I'm like, what? And she pointed out the fact to me is like, yeah, it's not required in the Quran to actually wear the hijab. It's just a practice that's been passed down for so many ages. So that goes back to the knowledge thing. It's like being open to converse with others who maybe have different faiths and just finding out ways you can actually become a better Christian. Heck, even I went to this Buddhist ceremony one day, and to be honest, I feel like I got tricked into a network marketing meme. I'm glad it wasn't. And the fact that everybody was giving their testimonies of how they became a Buddhist, and one girl said she said that becoming a Buddhist helped her become a better Christian because it's just a way of strengthening whatever you do, just having that open, compassionate conversations with others to not only strengthen your faith and just look at through the eyes of others, because at the end of the day, yeah, I do believe it's a good road to be on. I believe it's the road, but you have to see what other roads are out there and seeing how strong your faith really is, because there's only going to be two things that's going to happen when you go down that road. It's either going to become stronger or you're just going to break and then go into a whole different direction and might become something else. So it's just being open to having conversation with others and being open to learn from others, being willing to learn from others, and being compassionate with others, because you'll learn so much. Like with the colleague with the hijab, I didn't know that was a thing. I thought that was a requirement from the Quran. I'm still haven't gotten there yet to reading that book, but I'm going to read it eventually and study some more, because it's great to know what other folks are thinking, to try to get a bit into their shoes, because even though they may have a size 13 and I might have a size 11, at least I can at least get to the point where I'm close enough to that 2 inches in that gap, in a way closer to their full foot, as opposed to going in with a size 1 baby foot.
Yeah, no, that's great. I love all the points that you brought up about really understanding your own faith. And I think there is a passage or a quote in the Bible that says, know thyself. Like that's like the number one thing, right? And that is the
Hmm.
number one thing anyway. Like
Yeah.
we're here to
Yeah.
discover this thing, right? This being that we're being right now. And there's lots of other teachings, some of which have totally blown my mind. Like, we're all the same being in different bodies. What? And
That's right.
that kind of freaks me out when I think about I could like just pop on over there and be Dom for a while.
You get to be chocolate.
Strange. So just weird. Yeah. So I think we're trying to all understand ourselves, but we can't really understand anybody else if we don't understand ourselves. Like that's the number one thing, is to go within. And also there's like big teachings that I've been getting about, because when I have conversations with Jesus, believe it or not, I go direct. I talk to Jesus, I talk to the masters, I ask questions, and because I'm open to that. Now I wasn't always open to that. I have to confess, I was not always open to that. I was judgmental. I was like very judgmental. And it wasn't until I did this channeled teachings of Christ consciousness with Paul Selig that I opened up, and I was like, wait a second. That is not what we're supposed to be. We're not supposed to be judging each other. And as those teachings sunk in, I realized that I was a part of the problem. That my judgment was a part of the problem. And if I could accept it and heal within myself, for whatever reason it was within me, this like sort of anger, and I realized it was past life stuff because I believe in that. I had a lot of past life stuff in my field and all these other lifetimes where I was persecuted, and I was like, I've got to heal that and I've got to forgive, because that's the only way to move forward, to really understand anybody else or be able to relate to anybody else, is if I'm not holding on to resentment, anger from the past that isn't even relevant right now. Like, because we're here now, we're in the now. This is the moment we're now. So in the now, I think we all have to find a way to know ourselves and to know each other by knowing ourselves, and to trust, I think, number one, that God, creator, source, great spirit, whatever your name is, has a plan for each one of us and isn't leaving any of us behind.
That's right. No human left behind.
No child left behind, but in a different way.
That's right. Your behind gets to go with you too.
And you might get paddled from time to time to move in the right direction,
Yeah.
encouraged.
Yeah. It could be a kinky direction with that one, depending.
Oh, Tom. This is what it's come down to, people. Just saying. I'm warning
I'm
you.
glad you spit. I'm glad you
There's
just spit out the
probably
water
more.
Oh man.
So
Yeah.
what's your take on all that? I mean, you work in a library. There's all books in the library. Like the library is public, right? So it doesn't discriminate like this book or that book or the other book. It allows every single book in the library. People are free to come in and read whatever book they want, still kind of free to do that until it gets
Yeah.
taken away. But right now we still have freedom to read whatever books we want. So you're allowing people to educate themselves, right? I mean, that's your job.
Yeah. Right and left, and you'd be surprised some of the things you find on the shelves in a public library, especially in certain parts. Yeah.
Oh, you would know because you've been exploring.
Yeah, there was yeah, there was a one title of a book called Broken Condoms and Promises, an urban fiction book. I'm like, oh, okay, so people are reading this. Okay.
It's
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah. So here's the library filled with all like that, like all kinds of books, and people are really free to educate themselves, right? I mean, when you're helping them get their books or whatever you're doing there, people at the front, or help, because I know you did that for a while, helping people get their books, like you're letting them choose, like, this is what you want to fill your brain with.
Yeah, and it's not just about the books these days, too, especially in a public library in the 21st century. There was an article on fastcompany.com a few years ago how it mentioned how the library wants to be your public office. And it's true because a lot of folks, even though we got books on the shelves, not everybody wants the books. We got Wi-Fi, we got computers, and we help out folks of many creeds, colors, and backgrounds. And some of those backgrounds may include 0 to 5 children who may be getting ready for preschool, all the way to those who are 60 plus years old and they haven't used a computer since they retired, and now they feel like they need some extra money, so they want to get a part-time job. And they got to navigate their way through these darn job websites that, to be honest, a lot of them suck because it's kind of that barrier in between because you have to have a resume, and of course, the library workout, we help out folks with resumes and things like that and cover letters. But not only that, but being able to upload the resumes and being tech savvy enough to type that resume, send it, email it out, and have an email. There's still folks out there who don't have email addresses or they forgot their password to their email addresses. So it's just not only helping folks with the knowledge per se of the stuff you find in the pages of a book, but also just helping them with just every day-to-day stuff with technology. Heck, even some libraries they have drive-through areas where you can pick up books on hold, and some libraries have video game systems for the kids that keep them out of the streets. So it's it's more of the books. It's beyond the books nowadays because books can be picked up at a library or Amazon or whatever, put on your smartphone or your digital device. But it's just also the fact that also having those digital encyclopedias and other resources where they keep old newspapers that folks may be researching, or a little directory of auto parts for the mechanic, or even stuff like Rosetta Stone to help folks learn a new language. So just that, in the fact that it's just, especially with being a public library and depending on the community, being able to have things that fit the people in that community. Like with this past June, I think it was Pride Month, where folks, we just put a little upside down triangle flag that had safe space on one of the windows. It's for you. It's like, yeah, we're welcoming to you. It's no judgment here. I mean, folks are still going to judge internally, and you just have to deal with that. But no one's going to openly try to stone you in 2019, at least here at this space. So just being able to welcome folks from all creeds and colors and backgrounds to be able to come in and get their work done and just be able to accomplish something. Because at the end of the day, everybody's trying to accomplish something, even though at the end of the day, it might be nothing.
I love that. So in other words, the public library is a community meeting space of like the melting pot of America.
Hmm. More than cheese, too.
Yeah, it's a little pimentos in there. So some other spicy jalapenos sometimes. So let's see. So in your journey of going north, what's one thing that you find yourself telling people over and over again about how to really find that inner compass and keep going north?
Let's see. One thing I keep telling people. Let's see. Besides, let's see, going north and occasional cucumber jokes and tree jokes. Let's see what else.
As you can see, he incorporates humor and he's very punny. And we decided
Yeah.
on your show that you're the pun-isher, or was that after?
Oh yeah, that was
If you
before.
were a superhero, you would be the pun-isher.
Yep, that's like my good buddy Sean Purvis for that one. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's his actual name too. And we had a conversation because I haven't talked to him for a while, and then I don't know, we got into a pun battle. I was like, you know what, buddy, we're gonna call you the Punisher. I'm like, darn it, that is a darn good name. I was
It is.
gonna go with the because I was originally gonna call myself the People's Pun Master, the People's Punster, but the Punisher is even more clever.
It's very clever. Like if you had a cape, what would it look like, Dom?
Uh let's see, I'll probably have dad jokes on the back of it.
Yeah, be like a rolling receipt. Like those long receipts, like
Oh
rolling
yeah,
with bad puns all the way behind you. You're like trailing bad puns everywhere you go.
that's right. It's like, yeah, the bad guys robbing the banks, like, hey, and it's like throw him a pun at him. It's like, hey man, remember that time where he was cool to 7 cucumbers? All right, coppers, turn me in. Handcuff me. This is so bad.
It's so bad. It's good. Okay, now you have two peace pipes. I'm going to give you another one. Two peace pipes.
Sweet, enough for both thumbs. This is good. All right, this is good.
We're getting there. I'm going to give you another one because I like the conversation so far. It's been really good. So I'll give you another one. I'll just throw another one in there. It's a rebate. It's a sale. So
Sweet.
so you got three. So now tell us about, yeah, what's your tip that you give people?
Yeah, a lot of this thing I've been kind of throwing around a lot recently is just encourage 5 random people a day, whether it's a smile or a compliment. Just try to make someone else's day a little bit better, just a smidge. It could be that 1%, because you never know what someone may be going through. Because I think Mother Teresa was probably penned for this quote, but everyone's going through an invisible battle, and it's good to treat others with kindness because they may not have seen anybody give them eye contact or smile all week. And it's just that, just encourage people and try to be kind to as many people as possible. And of course, just read books, not just both of mine, but also others. Like start small. Heck, even read Carrie's books too. Like it, especially if you're going through a time in your life. Heck, even what was it, the Spirit Wave? I think is.
The
It's out,
second
right?
wave, Dom, the
The second
second
wave.
wave. You know, it's funny because a lot of Christians think that's the second coming.
Huh.
Same thing.
No one knows the day or the hour. I'm not even going to get into that. No one knows that.
You will know when you need to know.
Yeah, that like, why are y'all still believing that crap? Like, it says in the book itself. This is why I say know what you follow. It says in the book in Matthew, no one knows the day or the hour.
That's right.
Like,
Except you'll know when you know.
exactly when it happens, we'll
When
know
it
about it.
happens, you will know. And if you tune into astrology, you have a little bit of a heads up. So, you know, there's that.
Yeah, exactly. Virgo and Cancer connection,
It's
baby.
written in the stars. I mean,
That's right. Butterflies too.
Dom's like, hmm,
Yeah.
just considering. Okay, so your number, I can feel you over there, like going, huh. So back to your tips.
That's
So
right. All of
tell
my
5
things.
people a day something nice, brighten their day. It's really simple. That's very simple and doable.
Yep, just do that. Read, encourage, heck, even listen to some positive motivational material. Have your motivation rotation on deck when you wake up. I listen to a lot of jazz, hip hop, and video game soundtracks to get me going in the morning. Maybe some Eric Thomas or some Jim Rohn or John Maxwell. Something motivation. Heck, even some of my pastor sermons too. I put them on my smartphone as well as something motivational, just being kind to others and getting yourself ready to tackle the day because those on stage, they didn't get there in one day and they didn't get ready that one time. They had to put in hours and hours of practice. And when they woke up in the morning, they had to fight the urge to press that snooze button. Or if they press the snooze button, they made sure to still get up afterwards and not press it 10 more times. So that way they can actually get out and get started on the day. So just get yourself ready for the day and heck, even get in tune with yourself. So when you wake up in the morning, try to crawl out the bed if possible. Heck, even do the Undertaker sit up thing like a pro wrestler does and just crawl out the bed, get in the chair and sit in the chair for at least a good 5 minutes. And then that snooze button can be your sensational moments of silence timer because that's what I used to do in the beginning when as a form of meditation because this world champion speaker by the name of Craig Valentine, he mentioned how he gave himself silence after contemplating suicide multiple times, and it helped him transform his life. And he became a world champion public speaker after that, traveling all over the world giving keynote addresses. And a lot of businessmen do that as well. So just wake up in the morning, give yourself moments of silence, incorporate some prayer, pray to whoever you pray to. I'll leave that to the person listening at the time, you welcome to talk to Jesus. That's wonderful, and I'm all for it. But if you're not that type, then that's okay too. And just stuff like that, getting in tune with yourself, your spirit, the higher power, not just weed, and also encouraging other folks to actually encourage others. Because if you're going to advance others to advance yourself, you have to make sure that you have enough water in your well. And I'm not just talking about the water that I was drinking earlier, somewhere early in this interview, but also just the water of patience and the water of encouragement, and especially that water of patience when you're dealing with people every day, because that's the best and the worst thing about any organization. It's the people. I mean, the people make an organization great, and there's some people that make it not so great, and that's why people leave people. So make sure you're not one of those persons who's part of the people that make people leave, and not just in the fall season, because you have to keep that well of yours. Every single one of us, we're a well. We're carrying the water of encouragement, patience, kindness, and knowledge. And if you want to share that with others, make sure you keep some in your well or keep filling your own well up. So that way, when folks draw from your well, you'll be able to have water in your well as well, and not just in the desert.
Gosh, I love that metaphor, Dom. I'm going to give you 2 more peace pipes for that one.
Oh, enough
You're
for
up to
heaven.
5 peace pipes.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to ask another question.
Okay.
I'm sure you've noticed that marijuana is getting legalized around the country.
Oh yeah, $1 billion, $1 trillion probably at this rate.
So I dabbled with that in my day, when I was younger. I definitely
2 days ago, I know.
it was I actually haven't, but it was because I've moved on to stronger teachers. But it is
Oh, that's the way it put it. All
I'm pretty open about it. So
right.
the thing I noticed about marijuana is that it is an avenue for opening up your awareness that there's something bigger than you running through you. So it kind of helps you to realize you're not just a body, you're something else. And what's your thought about it from your perspective? Why do you think it's happening right now so much?
I mean, a lot of folks out there. I mean, I'm first not a weed smoker myself. I don't deal with the stuff, to be honest. I don't need any outside influence like that right now. I'm already crazy enough as it is without the stuff. I don't need to be on it.
I'm
Like,
glad you fessed that up. You get another peace sign for that. I like how
yeah,
you own your truth.
like, yeah, I don't touch the stuff. I'm like, nope, I don't drink, I don't smoke cigs or that. No. I don't know if I'll become an angry drunk or an angry weed smoker or just I don't know where I gained 50 more pounds. I don't know if I smoked the whole bowl or something. But I'm like it. But a lot of study shows like there's a lot of positive benefits of of the weed. I mean, it that's heck even the medical stuff for cataracts and eyes. It just helps you with the sights of the eyes. So, I mean, as a thing that helps out folks to better their lives, then I'm all for it. If it betters your life and you don't cause any harm to anyone else, then hey, that's in you, and I'm all for it. Like, hey, as long as it's legal too, as long as it's legal, it helps people. Then hey, never float your boat, go for it.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's definitely, in my opinion, it's something that sometimes people's intention with it is to distract from their problems.
Hmm.
And in that case, I'm not really for it. So,
Yeah.
but if it's being used with the intention of healing, which some people use it for, and that would be with, that would be like the ointment or things like to rub on yourself. I mean, there's all different kinds of ways it's being used right now. I think I'm totally for that. Like, I agree with that. It's a healing plant. My concern is like your intent with anything. The intention in which you go about things is super important. So I think thanks for sharing that. I was curious because you had mentioned it a couple times, so I wanted to ask. I was like, well, okay, you dropped it a few times, so let's pick it up and see what you got to say about it. All right. Well, that's it.
Yeah, I can't hold all these peace pipes into both hands, right?
The peace pipe is going to have sacred tobacco. That is it. That's all we're doing here. No marijuana, no illegal drugs. Okay, so now we're going to close out. What else do you want to share with people to uplift them and inspire them in this moment?
Sure. So uplifting. So basically, if you're sitting down, just stand on up for a moment, and you'll feel better about something. Whether it's I don't know something. No, but seriously though, just something uplifting. It's like, hey, you can do this. You if you're still alive listening to this show and you've gotten this far in it, then that means you've really gotten something out of it. And I'm glad you did. And there's more to come. Just keep listening to folks like Gary and myself and the folks we bring on that conversation with, because you never know, one positive word can change your life. Because it, and this is one of my favorite quotes from a preacher by the name of Mike Murdock, and it's the fact that if one good person sees one good thing of you in you, then you can run for a lifetime. If one good person says something good to you and you believe it, you can run for a lifetime. If after this interview, if you see someone and they may be struggling and you can find one good thing in them, just just bring their attention to it. And they may indeed run for a lifetime, because there may be folks out there who are just struggling and they're just using coping tools and using certain tools that shouldn't be used as coping tools to cope with their daily struggles and just diminishing their focus. If you can be that beacon of hope to help someone not use a coping tool that's not supposed to be a coping tool and actually focus on their gift that they've been given, but no one revealed it to them or illuminated it to them, then be that person to help someone brighten their day and heck, even brighten their life.
Ah, that was beautiful. Okay, 2 more peace pipes. What do we have? 2, 7, 8.
Seven,
8 peace
yeah. I'll take
pipes!
8. Yay, sweet.
Awesome. All right, so 8 peace pipes. So now we're going to close out. I want to tell you guys that if you want to find out more about Dom, you can go in the show notes and you can click through the link to go check out his book, Going North, and his other
Oh,
book.
yeah.
What's the name of your other book again?
Oh, yes, it's called Stay the Course, the Elite Performer's 7 Secret Keys to Sustainable Success. And they're both under 100 pages, so you get to save time
For quick.
and money too.
He's direct. So check out those 2 books and then the Going North podcast too. And I'll put a link to my interview with Dom on there so you can find his podcast and listen to all me, of course, first. And then you can listen to all
That's right.
the other people that he's interviewed, which are amazing. He's got a great list. And if you like this podcast episode, please like it. Like it on iTunes, like it on YouTube, wherever you find it, Spotify, Stitcher, wherever it is you find it, and leave a comment. And we'll get back
That's
to
right.
you because Dom and I are hooked. We're connected here. I'll tell him if you guys leave a message, he'll find out, and then we can get you a good answer. And maybe. We'll get you a punny answer.
The influence is working.
See? See how he rubs off on me? Okay. We're gonna
That's
leave
a
you.
good rub too.
We're gonna leave you guys with kisses now. I'm not even going there. We're gonna leave you guys with kisses. We love you. And Dom, do you want to join me in giving everybody kisses?
Sure,
All
I'll
right, here
put
they
both my
come.
hands in. All
Here
righty.
come the kisses.
Yeah.
Kisses!
It's
Woo!
twins, baby. This is
Feel
a
the
hostess
love.
here.
Feel the love. You guys have a great, great rest of your week, and we hope we inspired you today. Again, leave us a comment. Let us know how. We hope you have a great week. We'll see you next time on Soul Nectar Show. Bye, everybody.